Good evening, everybody. This is Cornholio, and per one of my subscribers' request, we're going to take a look at Dave's Metalworks Easyloader on a Remington 1100. I'm only going to be using the top camera here. I'm going to try and keep this as my center point right here. Try to keep this thing in better light. We have some extra lighting here, and it looks like I'll be able to show this. All right, so first things first, we're going to take it apart. This is going to be a quick little breakdown, okay? I use this Torx. This is a T20 Torx because it's beveled right here, and that allows me to push this out like I need it to be pushed out, okay? There are D-rings on both sides. You simply take your finger, pull that D-ring down, set it right here. You don't have to take the other one off, okay? I am going to go ahead and release the hammer so there's less stress on it, okay? We're going to take this, and while holding the dog carrier down, holding that down and holding off in place, we're simply going to take this and quickly push that out. Removes our swivel pin, okay? Now we're going to slowly pull this out, okay, while holding everything. All right, and we're simply going to slowly release it. Our carrier dog comes up. And we can rock it as we need to and get this to come off. Now you're right here, you have your hammer spring. It's still contained, okay? The only thing we've released is the pressure on that carrier dog plunger. Slowly rock this thing out and bring it out, okay? Now, if all you're wanting to do is change out the Dave's Metalworks from that little small piece in there, this is all we need to take off, all right? Take our carrier dog spring out. Notice the carrier dog spring has a tiny little hole in it. Right here. Let me get under the white, right here, okay? There is another, your carrier release has another plunger in it right here. It also has a hole in it, but it has a recessed area all the way around it, whereas the carrier dog does not. So that's how we differentiate them. All right, we're just gonna take this one, put the spring back in it, and put him over here out of the way. We're not gonna need that. All right, to release all tension, if I may be hammering some stuff and moving some stuff around, I'm going to go ahead and take off my trigger return spring. Okay, that is this piece right here. And all you simply need to do is put a pick in it, or you can grab it with your fingers. Pull it back a little bit and get it off of the tab right there. I usually use my fingers, okay? Now your sears can slowly move back and forth. If you want to go ahead and take the trigger out, you can simply do that by driving this pin out. And I believe you have to drive it from the left side driving out to the right side. That'll take your trigger out. You cannot take the sear out. The sear is peened in there. You cannot take your hammer out. This pin is peened over. Okay? And since it's peened over, that's what's holding your hammer plunger and spring. So we don't need to bother with that, okay? So our trigger spring, put him over there. Our hinge pin, put all that over there. Okay. You don't have to take any of this out, okay? What we're gonna be working on is this right here, all right? Now, if you wanna take this out, you can by simply taking a little 330, is it a 1/32nd? Or that's a 1/16, I'm sorry. And you can drive this out. Be very careful because this will go flying out, this will come out, and this is oriented a certain way. You see the prongs right here. These prongs have to be facing forward, okay? Now, notice the slick spots on this, okay? I do believe, let me focus in a little closer here. We'll get this down to where we can really see it. All right. See the slick spots here? This slick spot here is what this all rides up and down on. I talked about in an earlier video that you're going to have to file some parts away and smooth out in order for this thing to work properly. And that's this little dog ear right here. All right. Right here. You're going to have to file on right here, smooth that over a little bit, file some of this off. If not, as soon as you touch this thing, your carrier is going to come, your bolt's going to come sliding home. It's very sensitive, so you do have to adjust it a little bit. Now we'll go over that here in just a minute. Okay. Now we've got this off. We got our lifter off. All right, in order to take him apart and get this thing off, there is a folding spring right here, this little gold looking thing. It's just a V like that. That's got to come out, and you're gonna have to drive this punch out, this roll pin right here out, okay? Now we're gonna see if we can drive this out without too much ado. Am I in the right spot? Okay. There's my pin. Now on the other gun, on your gun, since you don't have the Daves on it yet, you simply got that little bitty silver piece. I'm gonna take this out, okay? All right. Now that spring has come loose there. And you see how he's oriented, okay? He goes in here. We'll put him in a minute. I'll show you how to put him in. But this little V spring right here has a little tang that goes up. When you put it in like this, it's going to go in there, all right? That's your little V spring. That's what I call it. Okay, now we have this all apart. You are going to have to file with a small diamond file. You're going to have to file off some right here on this tang. Let me see if I can get a better picture. There's my other punch. All right, you're going to have to file off right here a little bit. You're going to have to file off right here. Can you see that good? File off some right here, and maybe a little bit down in here. Like, open this up a little bit. And when you start fitting this thing in there, you'll see what I'm talking about. You have to file off some right here and file off some in here. Okay? You're going to have to open this up wider. Now you can see I took a file and a small Dremel, I scribed lines, and you're just going to have to open it up and keep going at it until you can get this to fit up in here like this and move freely. That has to move freely. I hope it's focusing on this. Good lens, if it ain't, I'm in trouble. You don't really have to take this farther out right here. You don't have to take this farther. I did not file right here. I only filed to widen it. Okay, you have to widen this out right here and right here. But as far as the length, the depth should be okay. Once you've got it filed, and this will fit up in here like this and move up and down freely, you should be good to go, okay? Now we take it, our lifter's gonna go in like this. Dave's metalwork right here with that part goes like this. You fit the hooks up into here. Not this part, but just the hooks go up in there. And you should see that your holes will line up. Now you can go ahead and put your pin in now. You don't have to have the spring in it to get this to go in. Just got to get that lined up. Where's my hole? Get in there. He's starting. through now. I do like to center them where they're equal on both sides, so I'm going to tap him a little more with this and get him a little more even. There we go. That's even on both sides, okay? Now he's freely moving. All right. Now you take your V-spring with this on the upside, like I said, and you're going to stick him the bottom end in here like this. It's got to go over the hinge pin and then down. So let me lay him down. Move my dog. All right, lay him down. We're going to take something to push him down. And this, well, he will slide up in there. Trust me, it was together before. It's a pain in the butt. I may have had to use these to do it the last time. I guess I can't remember. There he goes. And he slides in, and he'll go all the way in until he pops up like that. You heard that little click? That's that little tab catching right here. See it right there? There's your spring right there. You can see the gold in there, and there's the top of it. All right, so he does that. That's all that thing does. All right. All right. So we've got that installed now. Now then, the little tang I told you about filing. I believe you can see right here. All right, this little tang right here. This is up. Let me get him up here where you can see. Right here. Is it shiny? You're going to file off, not the back side, not this back side. You're going to file off this front side right here. Right here. You're going to have to file that off. If you can see the angle, you did come straight up, but it's kind of beveled over now a little bit. Okay? That's the little piece that you got to file. Right here. Reason being is, as you're going to see, it runs up against your carrier release right here on that shiny part. Okay? It hits that and pushes that to release the bolt and let the bolt slam forward. All right? If that thing is too much and you don't file any off, as soon as you touch this thing will come flying, your bolt come flying forward. It'll scare the crap out of you too, trust me. All right, so let's go ahead and put it back together now, okay? I'm gonna back this back out just a tad bit. All right. Now, to put him back together, don't worry about the trigger stuff. We'll get all that later. I don't really, it probably is easier to go ahead and lock your hammer down. You might want to put your spring in there, trigger spring in there to keep the hammer locked. Now, as you can see, and I've said this before, one of the safety issues, that this sear is only holding the hammer in the back, in locked back position by spring tension. All right. So if you were carrying your shotgun with a round loaded in it and you slammed your shotgun down on the butt, this thing could come loose. Let's pull it back with my thumb. It'll come loose and that hammer will come flying forward and fire. That's why you never carry a live round in the chamber while you're traipsing through the woods. All right. The firing, the safety only stops your trigger from going back, okay? And let me put the spring back in here and we'll see all this, how it works. He's kind of greedy, I need to oil him a little bit. All right, to put the spring back in there, it's pretty simple. You just stick it on there and with your finger, hold the sear forward, pull it down, and put them into place, okay? Now, you also have to have the big pin in the back inserted because that's your trigger rest. Your trigger will only go back so far. Now, when I take the safety off and pull it, it only lets the trigger come back. When I let go of the trigger, it only lets the trigger come back and it rests on this pin right here, okay? So that's your tension. So if you're gonna put the spring back on it to lock your hammer, you need to have this pin back in with your D-ring in it. These are where your pins go through and lock your gun into place, okay? They catch on them D-rings right there. Same as the ones on the front. All right, so let's go ahead and put our trigger spring is back in. We got our pin in back here for the trigger stop, rest. Go ahead and put them on safety. And you'll see that the only thing the safety does is keep the trigger from moving, okay? It does not lock your sear or lock the firing mechanism, okay? I have it on safe, I can pull the trigger, nothing's going to happen. But I can still reach up here and grab this sear with my thumb and just pull it back and that hammer will fire. That's why I say that's the jolt it would take to knock that down. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll put that back on and hold them in place. Now we're going to put our carrier with the Dave's Metalwork install back onto this, all right? Couple of key important things here. You have to come in, flip that over from the bottom, okay? And come under this carrier release so that it's up in here, all right, like that. Then you're gonna rock him down and get him over where your holes line up. We got to put our carrier dog plunger and spring back in its place, press it down, and let the carrier ride on top of it. Now comes the finagling part. With all this said, you've got to push this all down, line him up, get that set up, and hold it. And I put this back in here. Get that clip off. Get off, it's magnetized. I'm losing it. Push it all back down until I can get this back in there. Some people can hold them and you can finagle them just right and get it all in there with just the pin. All right, so now we've got our small pin that, we got that one. Where'd my other one go? It's, oh, here it is over here, sorry. Let me get this. This, and my magnet keeps coming off my speaker. All right, this is where your small pin, these are the two pins that hold your trigger group into the gun. They go in here, that little D-ring. This one here only has one D-ring on it. This one has one on each side. 870s only have one on one side, all right? But here's why I say this thing is a neat little tool to have this Torx bit with this beveled in. I put this back on here like this. Just kind of hold it down, put a little downward pressure on it, and quickly snap it through. And it just missed a tad bit on that one. But I move it all up and he's all back in place, okay? Now we take our D-ring, this little D-ring right here, and you'll notice there's a flat spot that's been cut out into the pin right here. You take your flat part of the D-ring, set it in that, and simply fold it over. Get in your hole and just thumb him over and he's in place. And these two little bottom lines of the D-ring is what catches into these grooves on your pins, all right? Okay, he is back together. Now we can see it works. If I simply lift up on the carrier, he won't open. You can't load around in there. This daisy thing is the replacement of that little silver piece you used to have to push to get the carrier to come up, the lifter to come up, so you can load rounds in there. And he will come back down. My carrier dog spring is not the strongest, but it works. I could replace that carrier dog spring under here with a different, stronger one, and that would snap down real easy. But so we've replaced this, the little silver piece, with this so that we can now speed load these guns, okay? And that's it. Now, let me see if I can get the camera down in here on it pretty tight, and we're gonna see if we can look at the marrying, where these things marry up, okay? Here is that little piece that I was telling you that you were going to have to file, okay? I think you can see it pretty good right there, but you're filing the other side right here. You're just taking it, it's in a V shape like this, all right? And what you're going to do is file off some of this. You're going to take off, come up and take off a little bit like this, okay? So there's a little angle right here, not that much, but you're going to, instead of coming straight up with this, you're going to have it filed over a little bit like that. And I say it's a trial and error thing. You're going to be doing this a couple times to get it just right. If you don't file under here, then when you put this thing in the gun and you rack your action back and it locks back, all you got to do is simply touch this and breathe on it. Mine, yeah, I filed it enough to where it takes a little bit to get it up there, okay? But if it ain't filed, as soon as you freaking touch that thing, your bolt's gonna come flying home. And that's really not what you want. You don't want it to be that. You want to have some place so when you start to, you know, you've got your gun loaded up, your charging handle, everything is back, and you want to close the bolt, you know, you have to push the button down here to get your bolt to close home. Same thing with days, you just push right there and your bolt will come home. You don't want that to come home with just pressing it like that, okay? You want it to come home once you have pressed it about there, all right? I promise you it's going to be even more touchy when you get it in the gun, all right? So you will need to be installing this in and out of your gun several times to get it like you want it. But anyway, that's it. The only thing you really have to do is file off this hole on each side, a little bigger, a little wider than it is, just so you got some clearance, at least a 1/16 of an inch clearance on each side, so that this moves, operates easy, okay? That's all you're gonna do. And then you're gonna replace the little silver piece that you used to have to push up with this big piece. And you're gonna have to file that little piece down, that little dog ear down a little bit right here on the other side of that, so that this has a little wiggle room before it comes up. And that's it. So let me put this in the gun and I'll do a quick ops check for you and we'll see how she works. Hang tight. Okay. All right, he is in. The gun is empty. There's nothing in there. There is, pull this back a little bit, nothing in the chamber, okay? Now, instead of having to find that little bitty button down here to push, all you do is, see there? Now, see how much wiggle room I've got? I got a little wiggle room right there, see? That's what you want. When I first put this in here without filing that little dog ear out, I did this, I just barely touched it like that, literally like that. And I think I'm flying home, scared the ever living bejesus out of me, okay? That's the purpose of filing that little silver dog ear backwards a little bit, and that, as I showed you. But it works great. And this is a 1100 20 gauge. I put a 3-round plus extension on it. Somebody, when I bought it, somebody already cut it down to 20-inch barrel. I wish they would have made it a 22-inch barrel where I could have put a +4 on it and made these line up at the end. But nevertheless, that's what I got. This gun was made in 1967 and it shoots fantastic. I had to do a lot of work on it when I bought it. This is a little extra. If you were just here, if you were just here for the Day's Metalworks, you can sign off now, but I will show you a few things that was wrong with this gun when I bought it. The guy said it didn't work. I walked into a pawn shop and they said it didn't work. And I thought, oh boy, I'll get him cheap. And I did get him cheap. Really, 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 really cheap. Fantastic price. What was wrong with it was, for one, the gas seals, and y'all are familiar with the gas seals, and the gas rings are up in there. The gas rings were upside down and the O-ring was on the bottom side. I mean, it looks like they took the thing off, flipped the whole thing and put it back on here. And it wasn't working. And a few other things were wrong with it. Let me zoom back in. On my trigger, I'm gonna release that so you can see it. On the trigger, the top of the trigger, there's these two little dog ears right here, okay? Right here. All right, they got circular, grooves cut in it so it fits flush on this. One of these was broke right here. It was complete pieces missing. And it was found down in here. How it stayed in there all that time, I don't know, but that's where it was. So I put a new trigger in it. I don't think there was anything else wrong in this. I got a new trigger off of Numerich, or I might have got it off of eBay, I don't recall. But I put a new trigger in it. Now, when you get the new trigger, you have to take your safety out. On the back of the trigger, there's also little, if you can see, I don't know if you can see it in here, but these two little tangs, I'm talking about the little dog ears, one was broken, they are beveled, circular, so that they made up against this perfectly. Same thing on the back of the trigger. There's two little arms that come out, and they come out and they're totally flat on a brand new trigger. Well, you can't put this round safety inside there. Let me see if I turn this line. You can't put the safety inside there because those are flat. You have to grind them, little circular areas out in them so that this thing will fit and pass through. All right, take it off safety, it works. Put safety on, they hit up against the inside of the safety. So I had to file those with a Dremel and get them right. So it had to fit the trigger in here basically. But that wasn't no problem. We got that done, taken good care of. You know, maybe with this better light, you might be able to see that a little better. Let me get down in here really good. Here's the part. Let's put this back out of the way. He is on safety. Back this way, okay. Right here is the piece you got to file right here. File this side only. Don't file the back side here. File this side. Well, I mean, this is the front side. Don't file this side back here. Just bevel it off, kind of round them off a little bit. Little bits at a time, promise you. So anyway, we got that fixed, got him working, he's working fine. Another thing, and you're not gonna be able to see this as I take the whole gun apart, but your charge handle comes out, and down inside there, there's that little detent ball. That little detent ball, I don't know if I'd ever be able to show you that. There's a detent ball down in here, and it's on your action bar right here. And that detent ball, there's a little groove like this. All right, there's a hole drilled in here. A little spring goes in there, and a little ball bearing sits on top of it. And then there's a plate that a little square plate that you push in these little grooves like this that goes down in there and holds. The plate holds the ball bearing and the spring down in there so that your charge handle detent right here fits in that ball bearing. Well, that plate was broken. So if you pulled it out, things went apart. When you pulled your charge handle out, lots of things fell apart in there. So I ordered one. It took about 2 to 3 weeks to come in, but in the meantime, I had an old piece of holster, and I might even have it up here. Let me take a look. So anyway, I hope this helped. I hope you got good detail. I'll check it out when I edit it and see if we can really see what's going on. If not, I'll redo it and we'll start again. All right, as always, thank you guys for watching. God bless America. God bless you, and Cornholio out.